The NBA is back, people. And it's back on NBC, which makes it even better. I'm back. I have a hat on. NBC, you know, the LA 28, the Olympics theme. I figure, oh, can you see that right there? I figure, you know, hey, why not go with the theme? The NBA is back. It's back on NBC. And you know what? This was the best opening night that we've seen in years. I know there's a lot of overreactions after these games. I don't normally make videos like this, but I'm going to now because we have a new season. We have Topic Tackle coming back in a new way. This is the true essence of Topic Tackle. So if you've been around for a long time and you like the documentaries, those will continue. But this is going to be added as well because, you know, after games, we usually get like a bunch of hot takes or people reacting. Some of it's crazy. Some of it's warranted. I'm going to come on here. I'm not the voice of reason, okay? I don't claim to be. But hopefully I can provide some perspective and some reason, humbly, into the conversation, okay? And so we just had one of the best opening nights. I don't think that's an overstatement. We had a double overtime game. That's like rarely ever happened. Actually, Mark Stein said it right here. It's just the 6th double OT game on opening night in league history. The NBA is back. It just exposed this to us on opening night. I'm going to be going over what this is from both games. We're going to start with the OKC game. All right, let's pause for a quick shout out to Rakuten, who is not sponsoring this video, by the way. They're just the #1 option for cash back with online shopping. I use Rakuten, whether it's through the website or the app, every time I shop online, and I have a link in the description down below. Now, I'm completely transparent. This is an affiliate link. I will get credit if you go to this link, but most importantly, you will get credit because when you spend $30, you'll get $30 back. And whatever store that you're shopping at, depending on the cash back that they're giving right now, you'll get that percentage back as well. It's legit. I've used this for years. Think about it like this. Support my channel through the link by buying whatever you want online. That's a pretty good deal, right? Let's get back to the video. 22 lead changes, 11 ties. And it was a good one. I watched every single minute of it. Şengün, you know, he played in Eurobasket over the summer, and we heard about him putting up these gigantic stat lines. He comes in tonight, has a 39-point and 7-assist game. He looked really good. He looked like his bag. Just overall, like he has become a better basketball player. I think that was very evident. SGA, 35 points will fool you if you're just looking at the box score. I believe in numbers. All right. There used to be a show on ESPN called Numbers Never Lie. But in some cases, maybe they won't lie, but they can mislead. If you didn't watch this game, those 35 points came the hard way for SGA. There was a point in this game where, especially at halftime, the leading scorer for the Thunder was a guy, I'm going to be honest, because he was out about half the year last year. It's his second year, I believe, from UC Santa Barbara. I had never heard of this person before. Mitchell. 16 points off the bench, and he had most of those in the first half. The pace was fantastic in this one. Neither team shot their free throws, particularly well. Houston out-rebounded OKC 51-39. If you're Mark Dagnall, that's what you point out to the Thunder. But overall, this game was not the best game from either team. It was definitely, you could tell at first and throughout this one with how many missed shots there were that it was the opening night game. That's typically what happens, especially on a ring night, get some of those jitters. But the way that OKC was able to work it out throughout the game was impressive. But let's look at a few of the headlines from this one, okay? So we have NBA on NBC. It's the first time since 2002 that it's back, and we love that. All right, we love it. We have KD in here. He's booing the crowd as he comes back to Oklahoma City. You got to love that. Playing with the crowd, really. He was holding somebody else's baby in this one, too. So you know what? I feel like he still probably deep down has some love for the Thunder, and they have love for him. They just can't because it was like a messy breakup, so they can't really do that, right? And then we want to check this out right here. OKC's championship rings are insane. See, what I'm wondering about this, though, once this comes up, like, can you wear that as a ring as well? Can you wear that? First look, Banner Converse Shea 001, and I've tried for these sneakers. They sell out real quick. For a guy that's hated on a lot, his sneakers really sell out quick on the sneakers app. Gotta wonder about that. Those are his shoes for ring night. They were clean. He didn't really look like the MVP at first, but he bounced back. He wore an MVP patch on his jersey tonight. There were also other ones. I saw Amen Thompson had one on for defensive, I think first team all defense last year. And then the rookie who made his debut on Oklahoma City also wore a debut patch. I like this idea. I like the idea of different patches on the front of the jersey. You know what I would love if they brought that back for the NBA Finals. Instead of just putting it on the back, put it right above the Nike sign, the little trophy. Hey, maybe if you hear me, whoever the higher-ups are, do that. The Rockets started an incredibly tall lineup. Their shortest player was 6'7", Amen Thompson. And no, I'm not doing the 6'7" thing. All right. That's a 6'10" average. That was their starting height, and their average starting height, that is. Tallest in a season since 1970-71. I love the early Chet versus KD move. Chet, he came out, he was on fire. 7 points for the Thunder. He came out hot overall. You could really tell that he was in the lab this summer improving that jumper. It was much more consistent tonight. It was clear that Houston was trying to take the ball out of SGA's hands to start this one, okay? He didn't get his first points until about the 4:30 mark in the first quarter. And they showed in the second quarter, I don't have it here, but you can look it up. Shea was crawling, a little interesting, but crawling with maybe, I believe, a weighted vest on in the offseason with no shoes. And they said, you know, his trainers and such said that it helps with his stop and start explosiveness and the no shoes to work on the muscles in his feet, because you're always wearing shoes on the court. And so your feet get compressed and those muscles don't really get to work. I don't know. I've played basketball. I can relate to that in a way. My feet can cramp up a little bit. Either way, not to get on too much of a tangent, the stop and start, whatever he was doing, crawling on the floor over the summer, the stop and start definitely helped him tonight, because this man had some of the most signature moves on that stop and start tonight that honestly won OKC the game. So KD in about the second quarter, he really started cooking, getting it going. Look at this Lou Dort defense on him. Is that a full, what do we call that? It's like snow angel, but not on the ground. Either way, KD made this shot. He made that shot. This was a very interesting matchup to see. And it wasn't until the very end that Lou Dort was finally able to bother Kevin Durant. We'll get to that. Okay, so I want to get to halftime of this one before we wrap up the game. Because this right here, ladies and gentlemen, stole the show. Michael Jordan saying, I wish I could take a magic pill, put on shorts, go out there and play the game of basketball today, because that's who I am. The type of competition, competitiveness is what I live for, and I miss it. So basically what this ended up being was NBC introduced it. They're calling it MJ Insights to Excellence. It sounds like they're going to play it every Tuesday at the half. Basically, Jordan sitting down with Mike Tirico in Jordan's house. And I definitely thought it was going to be Ahmad Rashad, by the way. So a little bit of a disappointment. Shout out Tirico. Jordan, he says this as well. He hasn't picked up a ball in years. He rented a house. The owner had a basketball court. He says, I want you to shoot one free throw. And it was the most nervous he's ever been as he stepped up to the line. He said this happened at the Ryder Cup. I'm not sure if it was this last year, a few years ago. Either way, to hear the GOAT basically say that he was nervous to shoot a free throw just shows you that this man's not touching a basketball anymore. All right. He is officially embraced. He did talk about embracing retired life, having to give up a lot of prime years of his life, basically where he didn't get to be around his family. So good for him. He's got all the money in the world. He can come back and do this little segment on NBC, which looks like they filmed one interview and they're just going to air different segments of that every single Tuesday night that the NBA is on NBC. So way to stretch out an interview for NBC, but it's really cool. Anytime Michael Jordan says anything, it's going to make national news. And I just thought, because there was such a connection between Jordan, the 90s, and the NBA on NBC, I thought they were going to do Ahmad Rashad. I thought they were going to do a little bit something different than this, or maybe have Jordan on live. Maybe they'll have him on for the playoffs. I would love to see him give his take on Shai Gilgeous, or really just, I mean, a lot of y'all probably think LeBron, but just any of these players nowadays, and see what he thinks about their play style, because his nod of approval or disapproval can either validate or entirely destroy a single player's career, kind of in a statement. So he has that type of power, but he said that, you know, he came back to kind of pay it forward to the game. He has the, you know, essentially the mantle to pass forward. And the late, great Kobe Bryant said the same thing as well. We saw Kobe put that into action. I'm glad that we're seeing MJ put it into action more, even if it's just doing this interview. So, Yeah, I mean, I like it. Anything with Michael Jordan, gotta love it, right? So I want to get to this. Okay, the third quarter was a back and forth. OKC's defense started to ratchet it up a little bit. Saw Cason Wallace get a steal breakaway dunk. But the fourth quarter is when we saw Şengün really get into it and thus get this reaction out of one Kevin Durant, because that's the look that you make when you got a guy who's out there looking like yourself. And that was a play. Şengün, he caught the ball about the top of the key. He goes and puts the ball, I believe he went in between his legs. Reggie Miller was trying to say it was like a Jamal Crawford. To me, it looked more like a pull-up KD type of shot because he puts the ball between his legs. He goes up, hits the shot, gets the and one. Chet fouls him. So then he goes in the line, makes a free throw and one on a jumper. So I was very impressed once again by him tonight. We had a couple plays at the end of this game where SGA really started to come into his own. He puts the moves on Jabari Smith Jr. He nails a step back mid-range jumper to put OKC up 102-101. But then, this was something that Houston was doing that I didn't like. I know that in a way it kind of worked for them in Game 7 of the semis last year when they put Caruso on Jokic on a few possessions to kind of switch it up. I just personally think that probably worked because Denver was not ready for that game plan. They'd been playing him 7 straight games, but that's just a pure mismatch. And so I don't want to question the great Mark Daigneault. Okay. But I'm not sure if these switches were intentional, but I didn't really love it because that's automatically a mismatch. You have Şengün, he's like 6'11" against Caruso's about 6'5", 6'6". So you have him on the mismatch. He scored multiple times on Caruso in the low post. And so late in this game, he, gets in the post, he cans it. Houston goes up 103-102. OKC comes down. It's just a pass to Cason Wallace. He misses a 3. Then KD gets fouled by Dort on a wing jumper. He splits the pair and it's 104-102. Then we get to SGA. We just talked about the crawling earlier. He calmly comes down and he does this. I do not know why Amen Thompson let him get to his left hand. Udoka was screaming at him not to let him do that. Just a classic SGA pull-up mid-range jumper to send the game into overtime. And so you can't have that. Udoka's livid that Amen Thompson, all defensive first team, did not force him right. SGA literally has a meme that he's talked about before about step back left, and you know what he's going to do, right? Now, it's easier said than done to try to stop that, but you just know he's going to that move. You cannot let him go left. You have to play and sit on that left hand to force him back middle, which is crazy because you literally are taught in basketball to force people to that sideline. Don't force them middle. And typically, if they're a right-handed player, to force them left. But this is just what SGA does. And then we get into the overtime. It's really defined by this moment right here. Clear timeout. David Aldridge, shout out to him, well-known reporter. KD got away with one there. We know that he did. Big Kevin Durant fan. Always liked Kevin Durant throughout his career. But this man, if opening night exposed one thing to us, it's this. The refs can turn a blind eye. That's right. That's right. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to regret it because something happened there. Hey, we'll see what that last 2-minute report says, but could have been a blind eye turned for sure. This right here would have put the game into a classic Chris Webber type of situation. It's what could have happened. Game could have ended on that, but we couldn't have that. We couldn't have that for opening night. It's not the way to end this type of game. So we go into double OT. SGA hits another step back to tie the game at 122 off the dribble right to behind the back to his left and hits it. I believe it was over Jabari Smith. And then we had the play where Lou Dort, he finally denies Kevin Durant up top. He gets the steal and deflection. SGA is getting fouled on the next possession, but he only splits the free throws. Again, it was like one of his worst free throw shooting nights for a 90% free throw shooter. It leads to Şengün being able to put Houston up 1, but then SGA gets fouled by KD on the spin move. He's going right, spins, pump fakes a couple times, gets KD to jump with his eye placement, faking the shot. What a fitting ending on a Durant return to Oklahoma City. Durant fouls out. SGA ends up winning the game at the free throw line. And then we had Warriors-Lakers. I'm going to be honest, because that other game went so long, I didn't even really get to this one until about the second half. But I do know that in the first half, we already had a couple of signature things that you would exactly expect. One of them, well, was a classic Marcus Smart flop. Haven't seen this in a while. He's been kind of stuck with the Wizards. Haven't really seen him on primetime TV. But classic Marcus Smart flop. And then, it wouldn't be a Warriors game without a Draymond Green technical foul. Only minutes into it, by the way, on the bench as well. That's about another level. But that, honestly, that's not the real thing that this exposed to me, that opening night exposed to us. This is what opening night exposed. I know JJ Redick doesn't have the most to work with here. Okay? He doesn't have the most to work with here. I know LeBron's out and whatnot, but still, that was his starting lineup. And this was LeBron's reaction to watching what went down out there. Because Luka, 43 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, near 40-point triple-double. He had like 59 fantasy points, if you follow along with that stuff. But as a sigh of relief for those out there who are Warriors fans, you got to put Curry on the bench for large portions of this game, or at least extended portions of this game, and not have to worry about putting him back out there. They seem like a really deep team tonight, and I think that was, it shows up in the box score. You have 4 guys in double figures. Buddy Hield was on fire in the third quarter and into the second half, because that's really, again, the main part that I got to watch. Lakers struggle from the free throw line tonight, but Kuminga, he has a big third quarter. He finishes with 17. Got the starting nod tonight. Hield, I believe he finishes with 5 threes on the night. And I think this one was pretty simple. The Warriors team, they looked deep, while the Lakers, obviously dealing with the LeBron injury, were putting it all on Luka. Their supporting cast, they struggled, to say the least. All right, Reeves did his thing with 26, but outside of that, it's about the Doncic and Reeves show. Outside of that, not great, and we don't even have the field goal percentage numbers right here. I would advise you out there too, if you don't want to see mean stuff, don't look up Rob Pelinka on Twitter. It was trending and it wasn't pretty. Let's wrap it up with both of them. All right, so with Oklahoma City and Houston is going to be fine. I thought they played well tonight. I think Amen Thompson, we have to realize he's still a young player. He's going to learn. There's certain defensive situations that when you get in a playoff scenario, you just have to know what a guy like Shai Gilgeous is, at least know what he's going to do and scheme in a way to try to stop that. All right. We also have to remember, for Oklahoma City, they had Jalen Williams out with the wrist. I think Oklahoma City is the clear favorite to win the NBA championship. And I think they have that for a reason. I think each guy knows their role. There's really no ego on that team. I really like that team because I think they're a basketball pure team. What I mean by that is there's not a lot of drama. There's like hardly any drama. If you watch my recent video, the 2025 Thunder were one of the best teams in NBA history, historically. Like, just look at the stats. It's all there. Look at the way that they play. They play the right way. I know some people are a little bit mad about the Shai free throw thing. I played basketball. I'm not mad about it. Some of you argue about, oh, it's the way in which he does it. It's not that easy to do what he does, you know? It's not that easy to draw fouls, even if you're selling the call. All right, but I don't want to get into that whole thing again. I'm not going to talk about that every time we talk about the Thunder, because eventually that's got to be put behind us. They're not winning all these games just because of him being at the line, okay? It was a total team effort tonight, like what I saw at Chet. I think both those teams will be fine. I think both those teams can finish top 4. Thunder number 1, Houston somewhere in the top 4 in the West. We get to Golden State and the Lakers. The Lakers this year would be very interesting. I feel like this team now may not look the same, and we may not be having the same conversations as when we get to, let's say, the trade deadline. This team is very hard to judge right now. I mean, if you had to put a judgment on it, you'd say, hopefully they can get the 6th spot and stay out of the play-in. But I think that's an overreaction. They finished 3rd last year. I'll still put some respect on them. But Golden State, on the other hand, I don't think it's an overreaction to say that they can be a top 4 team in the West. A top 4 team in the West with Oklahoma City, Denver, Houston. If, of course, the big if on all this, there's health, if they stay healthy, right? Barring injury, these teams can do this. So NBA opening night, it was great. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Of course, leave your feedback in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you again soon. Stay solid, people.